It's winter. There are thunderstorms coming for sure. Everyone needs a night of horror. And I'm here to deliver the perfect list. Guys, if you're watching from the US, I'm so sorry. But also, again, come on. You guys know you deserve much better than that shit. But anyway, let's address the problem we can solve. How to freak you out in a night of horror. And we're starting with one of my most favorite movies of all time, regardless of gender. And by the way, gender? Genre. By the way, I watched this film to relax. I also watch Criminal Minds to relax, so what does that say about me? Anyway, the movie is The Cabin in the Woods. If you know, you know. If you don't know, girl, just you wait. The Cabin in the Woods is a film that is often considered to be meta, because it is very meta, and throughout the entire duration of the film, from the very beginning, it undermines classic horror tropes. So it's really fun. And there are horror elements that will scare you, but the thing that will freak you out the most is the commentary behind the film, because it's excellent. Excellent. If you like to watch movies that have a message, that speak to the audience in a way that is like hidden between the lines, you're gonna love this movie. And somehow it also has like comedic elements. I think it's like in the midway point of the film, or maybe a little bit further than the midway point. There's this moment of hope that you usually see in these horror films. There's this moment of hope, and it's beautiful. You finally think, yes, they're fighting back. And then something so funny happens. It completely takes you out for 1 second. And it's so beautiful. Like, the person who thought of doing that, genius. Because it was so funny. Anyway, also, the ending of this film is probably one of the best endings in horror, like, period. It's excellent. The movie, yeah, I can't say more than that. You just have to watch it, and you have to watch it till the end, and maybe you rewatch it after that, because there are a lot of clues and a lot of hints and a lot of stuff in the film that you probably won't pick up from the very beginning. Like, you'll have to rewatch it again. And this is one of those movies where the rewatchability is insane. You always enjoy it. Also, shout out to mermans everywhere. Shout out to you guys. Now, Cabin in the Woods will leave you unsettled. Yeah. It will leave you unsettled. And I think that after this one, you absolutely have to watch a Jordan Peele movie. Any one of the three will do. I think he only has 3, right? Get Out, Us, and the other one. I can't remember the name of. None? No, that isn't it. The third one. My recommendation would be Us, because I think that's the freakiest one of them all. It will absolutely leave you even more unsettled than Cabin in the Woods. Mind you, this is a list to freak you out, huh? Not to give you like a joyous, scary journey with a catharsis at the end. This will freak you out. And then you will leave, if you watch The Cabin in the Woods and then Us, you will be already not well. You'll be already feeling like this thunderstorm is a little too scary. So what you need to watch afterwards is a little movie called As Above, So Below. If you know, you know. Ooh, I rhymed. Listen. The Paris catacombs. What do you know about it? I think on TikTok, there is a lot of like people talking about getting lost there, people who steal your flashlight and stuff like that. Basically, the catacombs is like a tunnel system beneath Paris. And there's a lot of other catacombs in other cities in the world. It's where they used to put all the dead bodies when there were like big plagues and the bodies were just too much to be in the streets. They would put them like in the catacombs. So in the Paris catacombs, there is like And do you know what? It and the interesting thing is that the people who put the bodies in the catacombs, they made art with the bones. Like, if you search pictures of the Paris catacombs, there's like bones piled in certain orders and making certain patterns, and it's a little freaky. But as above, so below is even freakier. It's a treasure hunt film with found footage style. It'll freak the hell out of you. They go into the catacombs to find some old hidden treasure, and, well, they find something else. And if you can make it to, like, almost the end of the film, there's a part very close to the end that is so funny. And I think unintentionally funny, but it's so funny. It involves a punch. It just, I don't know if they chose to do it like that when they were filming, when they were filming the film. I don't know if it was like an accident, if it was in the editing room. Something happened. The way it was edited or filmed, it's so funny. So if you get to that part and you make it through the funny part, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. Just make it through the funny part. If you watch the whole film and you don't find the funny part, I'm so sorry. Now, the film I'm putting in the 4th spot is The Exorcist. Listen, when I watched The Exorcist for the first time, I was watching it like on my computer on a tiny, because I made the screen smaller because I couldn't watch it in full screen. It was like a tiny window. At one point, I was watching it like this on a tiny window. Because I believe in movies completely. Like, you put a movie in front of my face and I believe it. I'm inside the world. So when I was watching The Exorcist for the first time, I was freaked out. It freaked me out. I didn't finish the movie. I finished it later. Another day, another week, I don't remember. However, there are a lot of people who watch it now and don't find it scary. They find it quite funny because the special effects are so dated. So if you are like me and you get super invested in the film when it starts, you will just be even more freaked out, which is the point of this list. However, there is a big chance you are not like me and you can actually see through the special effects. And then you just have a good time and just relieve all that tension from the previous films. So that's why it's here. 5th entry is a little movie called The Skeleton Key. Now, this movie has horrible critical reviews. And I understand, because later in life, I watched this when I was like 14, 15, right around the time where Paranormal Activity was happening. Oh, fun story about Paranormal Activity. You know how in the end there's like a text saying that, I don't know, like she left and she hasn't been found or something like that. 14-year-old me believed that. And then a friend of mine who I was watching this with, who was older and probably knew better, was like, yeah, it's true. Have you seen this video and that and that? And have you heard? I was like, no, what happened? Completely believed it. Like when I watched Rosemary's Baby. By the way, I think this is why this film has like really shit reviews, because it's kind of inspired by Rosemary's Baby. The plot is different. There are no Satanists in this film, but the vibe is very similar. Also, The Skeleton Key does not include essay, so you're fine with that. You can watch it without being triggered. And it's just psychological. The Skeleton Key is really psychological. Like, you know how when you watch Harry Potter for the first time and you're like a child, you believe they're going to get your Hogwarts letter one day? You watch The Skeleton Key, if you did it like I did when I was like younger. Yeah. And the ending, again, like The Cabin in the Woods and like another film that I'm going to mention, is just, it hits. The ending hits. So yeah, watch The Skeleton Key. Now, entry 6 is a movie called The Descendant. I'm going to warn you from the very beginning, there is a sequel to this film. Do not watch it. And also, there are 2 different endings to this film. I can't tell you which one is the right one because I'd be spoiling the ending for you. but there's one right ending. There's like one ending that is clearly superior to the other ending. And, well, if you're getting the vibe of this list, you will understand which ending it is. But yeah, there are two endings, and I hope that if you watch it, you watch the far superior ending. But this film is about a group of friends who go cave exploring. And if you've ever seen that map comparison in the US between people who disappear without a trace and the cave system, you will understand the plot of this movie. They disappear inside the cave, and it's again found footage, so you see what they recorded in their cameras or in their helmets, I think. I haven't watched it in a while. And it's just freaky. They find stuff inside the cave. They find obstacles inside the cave. It's freaky. It's freaky to the very end, and you will once again be freaked out. With what? No catharsis. None. Clearly my taste in horror movies is just to be freaked out. I feel like I'm the embodiment of that quote. Art should comfort the disturbed and disturb the comfortable. By the way, fun fact, story time, one of my favorite books of all time is this Portuguese book called Blindness. There's actually a Hollywood film with Mark Ruffalo and someone else based on this book. And apparently, it has been explained to me that this book is very disturbing. I once loaned it to a friend, and she couldn't read it because it was very disturbing to her, but my friend was raised right. So, yeah, to me it was a very comforting book. It was like, oh, finally someone who thinks like me. And this author, by the way, has a Nobel Prize, so I feel justified in loving this book. It's called Blindness. It will freak you out. It's a little disgusting at times, but it has excellent commentary on society. And some people are just not ready to learn about those things. Now, before I give you my final recommendation, which, by the way, I don't think you should watch, but we'll get there, but I'll explain why I'm putting it in this list. Before I get to that final recommendation, I need to mention two other films. Let's say it's film 7 and film 8. These two films, actually, if you just lived through the US elections, maybe you're gonna want to skip them. These two films are not exactly scary in the way that you think a horror film is going to be scary. I don't think they're even classified as horror films, but if you watched Handmaid's Tale, in season 2, I think there's a shot of a bunch of handmaids running to a plane and almost getting in. And I think some of them get in, and then Alfred doesn't get in. And the way that they filmed that they were finally escaping but could potentially be caught at any time, gives you such a tremendous amount of anxiety that you are on edge the whole time. You feel like it's happening to you. These two films are like that. And I put them in the horror category because to me it's genuinely horror. And I'm aware that you will probably feel this way more if you are a woman. And also trigger warnings for violence and SA and all the horrible things in these films if you don't want to go through that. Nothing is explicit. You don't see anything. This isn't a film made for men, basically. I've seen people review it, well, mostly men review it, both of them as being boring or uneventful and whatever. But when I was watching them, these two films, I felt more anxious and freaked out and just on edge than almost anything else. It was like I had snake crawling underneath my skin, and it just was painful to watch them. But I think it's still important too, because both of them portray the real life situations that they were based on really well, in a way that is sensitive to the victims, but also explains or gives you, but also makes you understand what was going on. And how bad it was. The first film is called The Assistant. It's been out for a while now, and it's about the Weinstein case. And the second one is Woman of the Hour, which came out this year and is about the serial killer in California, I think. A good point to make about this last one is that Anna Kendrick was the creator and director of this film, and she didn't make a single dollar out of it. She donated all of the money she made from the film to the living victims, I think, and associations. So even though they aren't classified as horror, they are horror to me. And if you know, you know, and if you watch these films, if you don't get triggered by this kind of stuff and you can still watch it, I can guarantee you will be disgusted and you will be anxious and it will freak you out in a way that is just unparalleled by any fictional story. And you're gonna hate watching them, but I couldn't not mention them. And the final entry, which I hope you don't watch. Really, you don't need to watch this. This film is horrible. But it was the worst horror movie I've ever watched. I have no idea why they made this. It makes no sense to me. Films like this, to me, should not be made. Or at least, I don't know. I don't want to say that they shouldn't be made because, I mean, of course, you should be able to express whatever it is that you want to. But I wonder if it does more harm than good, actually. I watched it because, like many other people, I have a morbid curiosity in knowing what's the worst thing they can do to me. And I mean, I sat through an half an hour long podcast about Junko. And I had to stop it many times because it just felt sick to my freaking stomach. But I still watched it because, like, something in the back of my mind still tells me you should know what's the worst thing so you can in some way prepare. You can never prepare for something like that, but I don't know how to explain it. It's really just a morbid curiosity to know how bad it can get. Like, yeah. And if you have that as well, this movie, The Golden Glove, you'll hate it. You'll hate it so much, but you won't be able to, like, stop watching it because it's just, I wanted to know, like, how bad does it get? And also because I was thinking that at the end, and okay, now I'm going to spoil the end, so if you actually want to watch this film, The Golden Glove, well, skip it. Actually, I'm not going to talk that much. I'm not going to say that much more, so you can probably just click off. But I was expecting to have catharsis at the end. Like, I was expecting to see him being arrested and going to jail and going to court and seeing the reparations done to the victims, seeing them being put to rest, seeing all of this, like seeing seeing his luck turn and the justice turn on him. And you never see it. You see him getting arrested and then the movie is over. So yeah, don't watch it. But if you're like me and you have like this morbid curiosity and you just want to know what's the worst things they can do to you, well, this was inspired by a serial killer that was active in Germany and killed a lot of women and didn't bury them or dispose of their bodies. He kept their dead bodies in his apartment. And the movie is horrible, but this is, I guess, the most extreme I would include in this list. But if you asked any like horror cinephile, they would probably put this movie, The Golden Glove, as something very tame. Well, that's it. That's all I have for you today. If you watch nothing else, at least Cabin in the Woods and Peele is a great place to go with horror. Yeah, I'm so sorry about the elections. Like, I keep seeing news of the horror stories that women go through, that because they can't access medical treatment if they have some issue with their pregnancy or whatever. And it's bizarre. It's bizarre that it's happening in a country like the US. Like, you grow up as a kid hearing about the US as the dream world, the free world. And yeah, you guys deserve so much better. Anyway, actually, I think I'm gonna go live tomorrow. Maybe. Perhaps. Probably. I need to talk to you guys about some other stuff that I've been watching, and I need to update you on my plans for next year and maybe do a Q&A. So join me, I guess, and see you maybe tomorrow.